Testing 1, 2, 3, testing 1, 2, 3. Just testing the mic, making sure that you can hear me. All right, we're going to have another dynamic podcast today. It is podcast number 5. And I must tell you that we have had 4 podcasts recorded. And if you get an opportunity, please go to AM Devotion slash Faith and Future Reinvention podcast. And please listen to the last 4 podcasts that we have built into this series, really giving you some type of direction, giving you um, some type of next step, and of course, deep thought, right? Giving you deep thought into the process as you are reinventing yourselves in whatever season that you're in now, right? And for seasons to come, all right? As I shared last week, there's brain research um, by National Science Foundation. And according to this research, the average person has between 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts per day, which is crazy, right? Think about that. How many messages are entering into our mind that are competing for space in our mind? And the thoughts, I should say, the thoughts that are most repetitious or the thoughts that your subconscious is going to record, right? It's going to follow away, and that will be your response for anything that comes up that speaks to that thought, right? So, what are thoughts? Thoughts are seeds. Right. And we have to be intentional about what seeded thoughts that we would like to seed into our mind that's going to bring about manifestation. All right. So, of those 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts that compete in our mind every day, approximately 80% of those thoughts are negative. That's crazy, right? Think about it. 80% of those thoughts are negative. Now, what does that mean? Well, out of that 80%, right? 95% is repetitive. So think about that. A lot of repetitive negative thinking that your brain is flashing each and every day, right? You keep thinking the same thing. Let me give you an idea, right? Um, yeah, I'll never be, or I'll always be lonely, or I'll never get the job that I always want, or I'll never be smart enough, or I'll never be pretty enough, or I'll never lose this weight. Whatever it is, right? Those thoughts are replaying over and over and over in your mind, seeding and manifesting exactly what you speak. Because as a man thinketh, so is he. But I'm going to go a little further than that. Death and life is in the power of our tongue, right? And we go to the Bible, which is our spiritual counselor. Death and life is in the power of the tongue. So whatever we are speaking, most I would say, let me clear this up. Most of the things that we are speaking is actually proof of what we're thinking. That's where I'm trying to go at with that because that repetitive thinking becomes what we're thinking, becomes what we speak, and then what we speak turns out to be the manifestation of what we're speaking into existence. And you have to think of this way, do an inventory of some of the thoughts that you have had in the past. Thoughts maybe to have your own business, create your own business. Thoughts to maybe try another profession. Thoughts of having someone special in your life, but you didn't act upon it, right? And you just let it stay there, and but you let the negative thoughts take over, and those negative thoughts and you're not going to find the right person, blah, 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 or they're not really going to get you, or they're not going to be true to you. They're going to be like all the others that you've dated or had relationships in your past. No, that job is not for you. It's for somebody younger, blah, blah, blah. Right. And all these thoughts. And now think about where you are now and what truly manifests. The negative thoughts you were thinking back then have manifest to where you are now. Where you are right now is all about decisions. Those decisions take place by what we're speaking. I'm backing it up. And then what we speak is a result of what we're thinking. And then if we go a little bit further back than that, the seed that was planted, whether it was a negative thought or a positive thought, is the starting point. So these repetitious negative thoughts are often called ants, automatic negative thoughts, because they repeat so frequently, they create deeply ingrained neural pathways in the brain. It's a real thing, y'all. The brain wires what it rehearses, okay? The brain wires what it rehearses. So if fear is rehearsed, fear becomes familiar. If doubt is rehearsed in your mind over and over again, doubt becomes the default, right? You heard of, I'm sure we all have Debbie Dowder, right? Um, that's the default. Like everything that comes up, you're just not optimistic, you're pessimistic, and then you doubt everything. And familiarity begins to feel like truth. So that constant rehearsing of those negative thoughts, they feel like it's the truth. And even though it's not the truth, our mind begins to tell us, right, that it is the truth, right? Because that is what you pay attention to. And that's what you allow your mind to think over and over and over and over again. You're not doing anything intentionally to reprogram your thoughts that you're having. All right. So I want to talk about renewing the mind today. Our episode is this podcast episode is entitled The Power of Manifestation Confirmed, right? Because we're transforming the mind one thought at a time. So renewing your mind is not about pretending negativity does not exist, because it does exist. We all have a level of negativity, right? Negative thoughts that are taking place in our mind each and every day. It is about refusing, right, to let repetition, right? This is what we're trying to do with reprogramming and transforming our thoughts. We we want to we don't want to let repetition of negative thoughts actually define our identity, who we really are, right? Because transformation does not happen in one breakthrough moment. It happens one thought at a time. All right. So here's a question out there. How long does it take? All right. One might say, to rewire your thoughts. Well, neuroscience, right, suggests that 21 to 30 days of consistent thought replacement begins to weaken an old neural pathway. So it takes about 21 to 30 days of consistent thought replacement, right? You're replacing that negative thought with a positive thought, and it will begin to weaken what's already programmed in your mind, in your subconscious, right? That old neural pathway. All right. And then 60 to 90 days of repetition significantly strengthens a new pattern. So the more you're doing it, um, any negative thoughts that you're even having today, take an inventory of whatever thoughts popped in your mind today, jot it down into your journal real quick, and then come up with a new positive thought that overshadows that. And then I want you to just post it on your mirror, post it on your wall, post it on your computer, whatever you need to post it, put it on the dashboard of your car. And I want you to read it out loud each and every day to intentionally reprogram your mind so that those old neural pathways become a new pattern of positive thinking. Right. So long term transformation is built through a sustained practice, right? And I always call it your spiritual daily practice because, we want to maintain a healthy mind. We want to maintain a healthy heart, a healthy spirit, you know, just our just our whole being. We want to be healthy, right? The full scope of things, mind, body, spirit, soul, and physical, because when we're not well, negatively, that negative thinking, those neural pathways can start to um, manifest sickness in your body. It's a true thing, guys. All right. So if you have rehearsed a negative belief for years, it will not dissolve overnight. So it's going to take work. All right. Think about all the people that have influenced us, all the either TV program, um, that we've watched, in school, maybe our friends, maybe our family, maybe our parents and our upbringing. There's so many influence that has really played a part in some of the thoughts and some of the thinking that we have right today, that we feel that that's the way we was brought up, so it has to be true, right? It has to be true. And it has become really the culture, that our mind, that space in our mind lives in, right? All of that from our journey, from our past, from our experiences has a lot to do with it. But I want to say this: if you start today, it's never too late to start. Start now, start today. Like I said, jot down, even if it's just one negative thought that you probably can think of, or just write that down. But I would say at least five, take five negative thoughts, replace it with something positive, and then keep rehearsing it each and every day. But say it out loud, speak it, because what we speak manifests. So, whatever it is that you want to manifest, you got to be intentional about what you're thinking and what you're speaking. All right. Plant the seed now. I want to say you're not too late. I want to say to somebody that said, well, it's too late for me. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, it depends on the dog. Whoop, whoop. All right. It depends on the dog. And don't believe that analogy, because that's another lie, right? You can reprogram your mind. All right. So here's some practical transformation steps that I want to share with you. Step one, I want you to catch the thought, right? I want you to notice it without judgment, right? So don't start saying, oh, I can't believe I allow myself and beat yourself up that I'm thinking this way. And all this time, my life, the way it looks like today, um, is a reflection of the seeds, right, of negative thinking that I've allowed to manifest in my life because I didn't replace it with anything. So don't judge yourself. Just write it down, like I said. And then number two, I want you to challenge that thought. All right. And you're going to challenge it, just with a simple question. Is this completely true? I mean, is it too late for me? Is it at the end of the rope? There's nothing I can do to change my circumstances. Whatever it is, it's going to always be the same result. Pardon me there. So ask yourself that question: is this completely true? And if the answer is no, no, and no, I want you to replace that thought and challenge that thought with a positive thought. All right. And I always say, for me, I use my actual spiritual counselor, right? Which is the Bible, which is the roadmap. And I challenge my thinking to what the word of God has to say. Right. And that's how I start. And from there, I'll put it into practicality so that I can write it down and just say it over and over each and every day. I'm going to be doing this with you because we all need to do this. We all have negative thoughts. We already know that. Right. Um, 80% of the 95% of repetitious thought tells us that we all do it. All right. So, but we can change it right now, one thought at a time, just being repetitious over a number of days. Okay. Which science say somewhere around 60 to 90 days. And it might even happen before that. All right. So let's go to step three real quick. Replace the thought. We talked about that and introduce a new intentional belief, right? You got to be intentional. All right. And here's an example. I always mess this up. Right. Now replace that with I am learning and I am improving each time. So every replacement weakens the old pathway, that old way of thinking. All right. You are retraining your brain. And I just love how wise our brain is, right? And that we have that capability, right? We possess that strength, that power to be able to retrain our brain no matter what, no matter how old we are, right? No matter how many times we mess up, no matter what it looks like right now, we can retrain our brain. And what happens over time, week one, it may feel a little bit unnatural, right? After you walk through these steps, because you're like, this feels kind of weird. Is it really working? But by week two, you should notice the negative thought a little sooner. You should be able to start catching it because you're being intentional about replacing them, right? And then weeks three and four, you will probably interrupt that negative thought faster. You know, now that you're starting to notice that, oh my gosh, there's another one, there's another one, there's another one, there's another one. All right. Yeah, now you're going to interrupt and say, no, no, that's not true. Um, I have everything I need for this season. I am not too late. I'm on time. I'm in step with the Lord and what He has ordered for my life, whatever that is, the your purpose, your vision, the vision, the purpose, the plan that God has for you, and you are to begin to walk that out, right? You're gonna begin to be in alignment. All right, by within 2 months, the old thought loses its emotional intensity. And that is a big one right there, right? Because if we think about some of this negative thinking that we have that in our mind, that it's to the point where we think it so much, think it so often that in our mind we think that is true. There's an emotional attachment to that because if anybody tries to tell you anything different, you're probably going to emotionally respond, right, in a way to defend what you're thinking, right? But what's great about this intentional exercise that we're doing, and please take time out to do it and share it with other people because if everyone had a revelation that you could retrain your brain, how awesome would that be if we were really intentionally working on that? And how positively we can impact one another, being able to do that. All right. By the third month, I would say a new thought begins to feel believable. And that's what you want to do. You want to, oh my gosh, I really do believe that there's more for me in the future and that I can reinvent myself and that there is more for me out there. All right. You guys enjoying this? Because I certainly am. I love to share, share, and share. All right. Let's keep this moving. All right. So we know that manifestation is confirmed, right? Once we start feeling, really feeling like what we're doing is now unbelievable. All right. So, one second. Sorry. I have to move this little pop up, and I don't even know if you can actually see the pop up. One second, guys. I'm so sorry. All right. I think I got the pop up out of the way. I think we good to go. All right. So we know manifestation is confirmed once we go through this exercise and we replace those old neural pathways with new neural pathways. What once felt automatic becomes intentional. So, all right. So faith says believe, and neuroscience says rehearse. You got it? Faith says believe, all right? When you put that new thought or that when you come up with a new seed of thought that is positive, right? Faith says believe, neuroscience says rehearse. Consistency says become. All right. This is what you want to manifest. You do not need to change 6,000 thoughts, right? We know we can think anywhere from 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day, but you don't have to worry about trying to change all of those thoughts. You just need to catch one and replace it and rehearse your new positive thought, right? And then repeat it. Keep repeating it tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. And like I said, put your Post-it notes up, put it near your bedstand at night, read it before you go to bed, read it when you get up in the morning, whatever works for you, but make sure you're doing it daily. All right? And basically that is how manifestation moves from concept to confirmation. All right? So guys, like I said, if you haven't had the opportunity to listen to our last four podcasts, please do that. The fourth podcast was about manifestation. That's where we started. And I just wanted to take it a little bit further today, just so that we would intentionally take time out to know the power of our thinking. Like I said, as a man thinketh, so if he is he. I don't want to hear nothing about you can't teach your old dog new tricks. It depends on the dog, and it depends if you're intentional. So it's never too late, and start to formulate what it is that you feel you're being led in this next season or for the next step to do. But definitely, let's replace all of that repetitive negative thinking with positive thinking. And how we do that again, folks? One thought at a time. Now, I want to thank you guys for joining the podcast today. Um, we made it short for today only because it's just an extension from the last podcast that we have. But if you have any questions, feel free to put into the chat. If not, I will see you at our next podcast, which will be in 2 weeks. So please stay tuned. I believe it's the 22nd of March, but I will send out um, a notification so you'll know when our next podcast will take place. But until the next time, remember that you are being intentional about the manifestation that you want to see, that you want to take place in your life. And don't let no one else, nobody tell you anything different. Start now, start now, start now. All right, guys. Thank you for joining the call today. Take care. Have a great day.